Drew. This week we're taking a wild ride in Hitchhiker.
You want to know the clearest evidence that reality isn't real? Raisins and grapes, man. They're the same thing, but they taste disgusting when eaten together. Obvious bug in the program there, right?
It's like you've wandered into my dream, and I've wandered into yours.
Drew, we got an interesting one this week, man. We're checking out Hitchhiker. This is a dialogue kind of point and click based game where we take 5 separate trips as a hitchhiker and we're trying to kind of unravel, which honestly is a pretty confusing story. There's some wild stuff that happens throughout the course of this game. What did you think kind of jumping into this unique style game?
Dude, this game is like all over the place. The very beginning was interesting, right? Like, it actually got me hooked. I was like, cool, this seems like a really intriguing story. It's called The Hitchhiker, a mystery game. So right there kind of gives you an indication of what you're in for. But the rest of the game, I was like, what is going on? You basically sit in a car the entire game. At one point, you sit in a restaurant. After that, you get these funky little cutscenes that are just so far out there. Like, man, the design concept was just, Cory, it's hard to put into words how I can express my feelings towards this game, because there's so many weird aspects to the game, so many twists and turns, and just every moment was like, what is going on now? And it was like that the entire time I played the game. Not once was like, oh man, look at this go. Oh, look. No, I was like, what? Why? Like, at one point you have tumbleweeds with eyeballs looking at you. You're just like, what is this?
It seems to be changing the weather conditions.
I'm confused as to really how the game came together. What about you?
Yeah, no, this one is bizarre to say the least. I mean, without giving away too much of the story, essentially what we're trying to do is we're recalling memories along the way through 5 separate trips, which seem to last about, I found, anywhere from about 25 to 40 minutes, depending on which trip you're on. So you're interacting with these drivers and they seem to know, some information that you don't, and you're trying to fill in the blanks, and things are very confusing. Like, the first drive is through a kind of a farm country, prairie land kind of area. And, you're with this raisin farmer, which, I mean, raisin farmers aren't even a thing, man. But, it's just so obscure
weird
and bizarre, and the idea behind what they're trying to convey, there's a set of emotions here, and there's something that kind of gets you hooked. And for certain people, I think they are going to get hooked with the different characters that you kind of run into along the way. You get different dialogue choices to choose from to kind of lead the conversation, and there is actually points during the drive where you just kind of sit there and you can look at the scenery around you. It's a scenic break, they call it. And I mean, it kind of lulls you into this self security thing, and you don't really know what's ever going on. I never really started a trip and ended one ever feeling confident about what was going to happen next here.
Yeah.
And it was just confusing overall. It was hard the way they kind of, told this story. It was so broken with chunks and weird things happening the entire time that it was really hard to follow. And then when we get to the end, without giving too much away, it was just really interesting the way it all ended. It felt like maybe there was parts of this story that if we had 2 or 3 more trips, maybe we could have cleared things up a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't want to give too much away, because the whole story is based on, the narrative that we're going through here. But I have a hard time thinking people are going to want to stick around long enough, because it's just so bizarre.
Absolutely, Cory. I want to touch on the ending without spoilers, right? Obviously. Dude, I didn't like it. Plain and simple. I just didn't like the ending. The way it wrapped up, I was like, huh? Like, I was still, really? All these road trips lead to this? Like, you gotta be kidding me. It felt like it, dude. If they put another 2 chapters into this, oh my goodness, that would have been way too long. Like, it was already getting a little long in the tooth for me going through the game. But just the way it wrapped up, I didn't feel it wrapped up anything. Like, I'm still confused as to, okay, the whole story is about you and a significant other, and the relationship that kind of builds upon that, and what you're trying to recall your past. to figure out what's going on. By the time the game ends, though, I'm still confused and I still don't know what's going on. It's just what a bizarre flipping game this is, Corey. Talk about confusion from the get-go right to the very end.
Oh, I know.
Are you sure? I mean, look through it and see if it tells you which way is east.
Well, Corey, I think I've traveled down this road long enough. For me, Hitchhiker, a mystery game, is one of the most bizarre titles I have ever played in my entire life. This is one weird game. Definitely curious to see how many people are going to push through the story to find out the disappointing ending on this one. For me, I'm wrapping this up with a 4.
You know what, Drew? I'm right there with you. This game just confused me from start to finish. You know, it's about 2.5 hours to play through, so there's not a lot of game here. And the whole time, you're just kind of shaking your head, what's going on? And again, like you said, the disappointing finish on this one just really didn't deliver with how obscure this story was. So, you know what? I got to give this one a 4 as well.
Sorry, Copernicus. I might have used you a little like you used me. Let's just say, I'm not your girlfriend.
Interesting storyline that keeps you scratching your head, but the utter confusion this game can cause will be what keeps you from finishing it.
Yes, he's almost out. We're pulling. I'll be handing him over in a sec. Hang on. There's a third car now. A Volvo. Pulling up. What's that doing here? What the hell? Watch it, buddy.